Snipers, you have to see what's happening in the Bitcoin price this Saturday, as this is an extremely important video. If you guys saw how the equity markets closed the week on Friday, the Dow Jones Industrial down over 1,000 points and over $1 trillion of equities and market cap wiped out after Jerome Powell spoke for 8 minutes at the Jackson Hole. There's a lot we have to keep in mind coming into this weekend, Snipers, because if the equity markets closed with an extremely volatile move like what we saw, then it's fair to assume that Bitcoin could potentially also see an extremely volatile move this weekend. And so here's what the bears are saying. This is the word around the street. They're going to be releasing the MTGOX Bitcoin the same week they unlock the post-merged staked Ethereum. They just want to maximize chaos. 6 to 12 months away, probably. Going to be funny. Don't trust anyone. That's something I found on Twitter. And then check this out. I've been waiting all bear market for the Bitcoin percent of supply and profit to drop below 50%. In June, it bounced just above at 50.28%. Currently, it's at 51.76%. This metric dropped below 50% in every prior bear market and in March of 2020. And so this would assume that if Bitcoin is going to go down lower, it might not have to go down too much lower. And so let's talk about the extremely bearish scenario. These are the bear extremists in the market calling that Bitcoin could potentially come down to 11,000 US dollars by March of 2023. But then there's light at the end of the tunnel with a prediction of 75,000 by January of 2025. Are all of these scenarios on the table? Let's talk about the immediate short-term, Snipers. Look at Ethereum with this head and shoulder pattern. Let's dive straight into the charts. And remember to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm if you support this content. So Bitcoin, as I record this video, below 20,000 US dollars. It's not a coincidence that we've yet to break the major support level, 19,798 and 68 cents. This is the 2018 previous all-time high. With this new daily candle that's about to open up in less than 2 hours, Snipers, if we see any price action below 19,798, or if we have a cup of coffee at this extremely important support level, then this is not the final destination, and there could be a volatile move all the way up to 17,204 for Bitcoin to potentially form a lower low before seeing any upside. And so we have to monitor this extremely important support level here at 19,798. Now, what are the first signs of a rescue operation? We need Bitcoin to break above this market structural level that was previous support, which is now resistance at 21,800. If we can get hourly and 4-hour candles above 21,800, we'll start talking about upside targets. But the fact of the matter is, Snipers, this is a bearish weekend based on how the S&P 500 closed. Just look at this. An extremely bearish continuation weekly candle testing the 20-week moving average. It looks like the S&P 500 could potentially come below the 20-week moving average, sitting at 4,000 for the E-mini futures contract coming into the open on Monday. And if that's the case, the real question there is it just going to be a wick? And are we going to get back above 4,000? Or are we really going to be seeing a major reversal? And if we start to have daily candles below 4,000, that 20-week moving average, that's going to start to spell trouble for the overall markets. The DXY yet to break its yearly high, just shy of it, but it did have the highest weekly close in over 2 decades. And so that's why we have to keep the bearish scenario on the table for this weekend, Snipers. Anything is on the table during the weekends. And so remember when Bitcoin first came down to form this low at 17,600, it was on the weekend. And we didn't even get that price action on the Bitcoin CME futures charts because it was on the weekend. And that's why the markets are the most manipulated on the weekend. And then let's look at Ethereum. We talked about that potential head and shoulder pattern. What would that put Ethereum at if it were to complete this head and shoulder pattern? Well, let's just go from the top of the market structure to the neckline of the head and shoulder just to measure what approximate area we could potentially see Ethereum correct to. You can see it's also testing its 2018 previous all-time high at 1440. If we break that, look at that, shows confluence with a test of 909, which is a major volume support level that Ethereum did not breach below during the June and July correction. And so it could potentially also form a lower low or maybe a higher low. It is still pretty strong against Bitcoin, I would say, sitting above 65,000 Satoshis. As long as it's above 65,000 Satoshis, all cards are on the table heading into the merge on September 19th for Ethereum. And then let's talk about some things that we could monitor into futures markets opening up tomorrow on Sunday. I'll definitely have another video out. I am here at the Ritz-Carlton right now, just enjoying my Saturday. I hope each and every one of you are enjoying your Saturday. And coming into futures markets opening up, what I'm really going to be watching is not just the S&P 500 testing that 20-week moving average, but the DXY. Is it going to form new yearly highs? And the Bitcoin against SPY chart, it's worth mentioning, especially at this point where Bitcoin is testing the 2018 previous all-time. And let's look at what's happening here. Oh, wow, look at that. It looks like the Bitcoin to SPY chart is starting to break into new yearly low, snipers. This was not something that I had to show before recording this video, but now we can talk about this. So we do have a confirmation of weakness here for Bitcoin, already breaking a major support level here on the Bitcoin to SPY chart. So that really puts all cards on the table for this weekend, snipers. It is the weekend, so this could just be manipulated and not the true price action that we're going to see when equity markets open up and institutions get to place their bets. But Bitcoin against SPY right now is breaking into new yearly lows. It looks like it already has. This is a custom chart, so it might not be as accurate, but it is pretty accurate. And so Bitcoin against SPY is going to be important to monitor. All of these puzzle pieces are pretty much leading me to believe that we are going to be seeing an extremely volatile move this weekend. And if that does happen, snipers, don't be surprised, because we know how the equity markets closed the week. It was extremely bearish, an extremely volatile move after Jerome Powell spoke. And so it puts the bearish scenario on the table for Bitcoin to also have an extremely volatile move this weekend. Now, are we going to see Bitcoin maybe break new yearly lows this weekend? I don't know. That could be on the table. I wouldn't say that there are puzzle pieces to confirm right now that that has to happen, other than the Bitcoin to SPY chart. That is a little bit worrisome, but it is the weekend, so the markets are the most manipulated. If we start to see Bitcoin really start to see some volatility, I will get another video update out to you, snipers. But that's what's important to monitor today. That is what the word on the street is with the bears. Of course, all of this could change rapidly. This is a dynamic situation, I would say. The S&P 500 is still above its 20-week moving average, so not all cards are really on the bear side just yet, but they're certainly starting to shift towards the bears. And so let's see what happens, snipers. You know, so far, I would say that the storyline, I know MT Gox is a rumor that's spreading right now, and the Ethereum that's locked up being released is also another rumor that's being spread on the bearish end. But on the bullish end, the thesis that you could hold on to right now is the fact that when inflation started to peak, that's when markets also peaked out in June. And we started to see oil for the first time in 2022 come down. That's still a thesis that's in play for the equity markets, that they still could have potentially bottomed out. Maybe we come down to see a corrective move to form a higher low, maybe even a lower low. But you know, it doesn't necessarily imply that there has to be a lot more downside, 50, 60% more downside. I think that's the bullish thesis that people are sticking to right now. But the bearish thesis is still, in the immediate short term playing its part and is in effect right now. And remember what we talked about with the S&P 500 starting to come back down to test this 20-week moving average. This was long overdue. And so I believe that this week is going to be critical for not just the equity markets, but for the cryptocurrency market. I think this is an extremely important time to be monitoring the charts and staying up to date. So remember to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm, snipers, if you support this content, and I cannot wait to see what happens and keep you guys updated as always, snipers.